Nicole Kidman's 47-second speech on live television revealed just how fragile their 18-year marriage really was. Keith Urban's expression at that moment showed that everything had become irreversible. By the end of this video, you'll see how one of Hollywood's most powerful couples collapsed and witness those dramatic moments that unfolded in front of the cameras. Don't forget to subscribe because this story is completely fictional, but definitely worth watching. The golden lights of the red carpet reflected off Nicole Kidman's white dress at the Pacific Arts Theatre, and no one could have predicted that this night would mark the end of a love story. As Keith Urban tuned his guitar, he looked at Nicole with those loving eyes he'd gazed at her with for 18 years. But this time, there was something in that look he'd never seen before. Fear. Tonight was the annual Harmony for Hearts charity gala, and Nicole and Keith would share the stage as they always did. Nicole would give a speech, Keith would perform. They'd done this for years. A perfect couple, a perfect performance. But tonight was different. Backstage, as Nicole looked in the mirror touching up her lipstick, she noticed her hands were trembling. This was normal. Stage nerves. But deep down, she knew this was something else. The phone call she'd received that afternoon had changed everything. "Mrs. Kidman, this is Lila Harrison from Harrison Media Agency. I need to speak with you about upcoming news stories concerning Keith Urban," the woman had said on the other end of the line. Nicole had felt her heart stop at that moment. What kind of stories? "It would be better if we discussed this face to face, but I can tell you that the stories coming out tomorrow morning could seriously affect Keith's career and your marriage." Nicole had hung up the phone, but every word continued to echo in her mind. Could seriously affect your marriage. What did this woman mean? When Keith entered backstage, he noticed the expression on Nicole's face. "Hey, is everything okay? You look a little pale." Nicole turned to him. Normally, when she heard Keith's voice, her face would light up. But this time, there was an expression in her eyes he didn't recognize. "Keith, we need to talk." "It's time for us to go on stage, babe." "We'll talk after," Keith said, pulling off his t-shirt and starting to put on his stage costume. "No, Keith, we need to talk now." Keith stopped his hands. The tone in Nicole's voice made him pause. In their 18-year marriage, he'd never seen Nicole like this. "Nicole, what happened? You're scaring me." "Someone named Lila Harrison called, from a media agency. There are stories about you coming out tomorrow. Stories that will affect our marriage." Keith's face went white. It was as if a knife had been plunged into his heart. Just then, the stage coordinator came running. "Mr. Urban, Mrs. Kidman, you're on in 2 minutes." Nicole was looking into Keith's eyes. "Do you know what these stories are about, Keith?" Keith couldn't make a sound. His throat felt dry. The coordinator called again. "1 minute. You need to be ready." "Keith, answer me," Nicole whispered. Keith nodded his head. "Yes," he said very quietly. "I think I know." At that moment, Nicole's world collapsed. But they had to go on stage. Hundreds of people were waiting for them. Cameras were broadcasting live. "You're on now," shouted the coordinator. Nicole took a deep breath. She was a professional actress. She could play her role tonight just as she always had. But inside, everything was falling apart. When they walked onto the stage, thunderous applause greeted them. Nicole smiled, waved, while Keith took his guitar and went to the microphone. No one could know about the conversation they'd just had. "Dear friends," Nicole said into the microphone. Her voice was clear and strong. "Being here tonight is truly—" There was a tremor in her voice. Very slight, but Keith noticed it. He knew Nicole very well. "Being here tonight is truly wonderful," Nicole continued. "The Harmony for Hearts organization every year—" She stopped. Her sentence was left hanging. The 800 people in the hall listened to her in silence. Keith looked at her with concern. "I'm sorry," Nicole said with a slight laugh. "It's an emotional moment for me." But Keith could see that she was truly emotional. And that emotion was sadness. Nicole continued her speech. She talked about the charity, spoke about the importance of helping each other. But Keith could see that she was struggling with every word. "And now," Nicole said at the end of her speech, I present to you Keith Urban with his wonderful music. Applause rose, but Nicole didn't look at Keith. Normally, she would look at him, smile, give him that special look that showed she was turning the stage over to him. But this time, she just moved away from the microphone and stood in the corner of the stage. Keith took his guitar. "Good evening, everyone," he said. His voice was a bit cracked. "Tonight I'm going to play something special." At that moment, he looked at Nicole. And in that look were 18 years of memories. The night they first met, the marriage proposal, their children, happy moments, difficult times, everything. Keith began to sing. It was his famous song, "Love is a Beautiful Thing," the song they first danced to, but this time the lyrics felt different. "When I look into your eyes, I see my whole world." Nicole's eyes filled with tears. She could hear the sincerity in Keith's voice, but at the same time, she could understand how scared he was. As the song continued, Nicole became lost in thought. That phone conversation was replaying in her mind. "Mrs. Kidman, this matter concerns Keith's certain relationships from past years." "What kind of relationships?" Nicole had asked. "Relationships he had with other women during your marriage." Nicole's world had stopped at that moment. "Is this certain?" "We have photographs. We have dates. We have material documenting moments when Keith Urban was seen with different women in 2019, 2021, and 2023. Nicole had wanted to sit down right then. 2019, 2021, 2023, these dates held special meaning for them. In 2019, they had gone on vacation with their children. In 2021, they had celebrated their 15th wedding anniversary. In 2023, they had bought their new house. "The news will come out tomorrow morning," the woman had said on the phone. "Keith's lawyers contacted us, but we're going to publish the story. I just wanted to give you a heads up." Nicole had hung up and sat there for hours. Now on stage, listening to Keith sing, all these truths were spinning in her mind. Keith was singing the final chorus of the song. "And if this love is not forever, at least we had this moment together." Nicole shivered. Was Keith unknowingly singing these words? Or was this his farewell song? The song ended and thunderous applause broke out. Keith couldn't take his eyes off Nicole. They were both thinking the same thing. This might be the last night they shared a stage together. Keith leaned into the microphone. "Thank you all," he said. "This night has been—" He stopped. He looked at Nicole. "This night has been unforgettable. Unforgettable." Nicole felt pain inside when she heard that word, because it really would be unforgettable, but not for good reasons. When the stage program ended, Nicole and Keith went backstage. Around them were journalists, photographers, organizers. Everyone wanted to take photos with them, do interviews. But Nicole just wanted to talk to Keith. "Mr. Urban, your performance tonight was wonderful," said a young journalist. "Can you give us information about your next album?" Keith tried to look at the journalist, but his eyes kept searching for Nicole. Yes, we're working on new material." "Mrs. Kidman," said another journalist. "Can we talk about your new film?" Nicole tried to smile. "Of course, but I want to focus on our charity tonight." As the journalists continued asking questions, Nicole and Keith kept looking at each other but couldn't talk. There were too many people around them. Finally, Nicole couldn't stand it. "I'm sorry," she said to the journalists. "I need to rest a bit." She walked toward the dressing room. Keith followed her. "Nicole! Wait," Keith said in the corridor. Nicole stopped but didn't turn to him. "Keith, tell me the truth. Are the things that woman said true?" Keith's silence was the answer. Nicole turned around. Tears were streaming from her eyes. "Answer me, Keith. Were you unfaithful to me?" Keith couldn't speak. That strong, confident man now looked like a small child. "Keith, 18 years, Nicole said. "We've been together for 18 years. We have children. The trust between us. Nicole, You what, Keith? You what?" Keith hung his head. "I made a mistake." Nicole felt her heart break. "Mistakes? Plural? So not just one?" Keith couldn't answer. "How many, Keith? How many women?" "That doesn't matter." "It matters to me." Nicole screamed. The sound echoed in the corridor. Keith looked around. Nicole, please, let's not talk here. People can hear. Oh, are you embarrassed now? Are you afraid people will hear? Nicole's voice was trembling. I fought for you for 18 years, Keith. I supported your career, we built a home, raised children. You threw all of that away. Nicole, please. No, Keith. There's no please. You were unfaithful to me. You lied to me. And I trusted you like a fool. Keith's eyes filled with tears, too. I love you, Nicole. I love you more than anything. But it wasn't enough, was it? I wasn't enough. It's not like that. Then what is it, Keith? Explain it to me. Why did you do it? Keith remained silent for a long time. Then he took a deep breath. I don't know, he said very quietly. I honestly don't know. Nicole's heart ached even more, because that answer was no answer at all. Tomorrow these stories will come out, Nicole said. Our children will find out. Our friends, our family, our fans. Everyone will know. Keith nodded. I know. And you didn't even think to tell me until tonight. If that woman hadn't called, you would never have said anything. Nicole. Don't say anything, Keith. I'm tired. I'm so tired. Nicole went into the dressing room and slammed the door in Keith's face. Inside, she looked in the mirror. Her makeup was smeared. Her eyes were bright red. But more importantly, the woman she saw in the mirror was no longer who she used to be. Their 18-year marriage had ended at that moment. Keith knocked on the door. Nicole, please, let's talk. Go away, Keith. Get out of here. Nicole, I don't want this night to end like this. Nicole opened the door. There were tears in her eyes, but there was also anger. Keith, this night didn't end. This marriage ended. Keith stood there as if he'd been slapped in the face. What? You heard me. This marriage is over. I can't live under the same roof with you anymore. Nicole, don't rush into this. Maybe we can find a solution. 18 years, Keith. For 18 years I trusted you. You shattered that trust. And not just once. Multiple times. This isn't a mistake. This is a choice. Keith started crying. Nicole, please. Think about our children. I am thinking about our children. I don't want them growing up in this kind of environment. I don't want to give them a lying father as an example. I'm a good father. A good father doesn't cheat on his wife, Keith. That sentence hit Keith hard, because it was true. Nicole packed her bag. I'm not staying home tonight. I'll talk to my lawyer tomorrow. Nicole, where are you going? That's none of your business anymore. Nicole stepped into the corridor. Keith followed her. Nicole, please, give it some time. Maybe we can get therapy, counseling. Nicole stopped. Keith, I gave 18 years. Now there's no time left. At that moment, one of the organizers came running. Mrs. Kidman, Mr. Urban, what a wonderful gala. We were looking for you for thank you photos. Nicole and Keith looked at each other. They had to act like a couple one last time. Of course, Nicole said. We're coming. They returned to the gala hall. Camera flashes began. Nicole and Keith smiled, held hands, tried to look happy. But if any of the photographers looked carefully, they could see that Keith's eyes were red, that Nicole's smile was forced. Beautiful. One more, said the photographer. Nicole squeezed Keith's hand, but this wasn't a sign of love. This was a sign of goodbye. After the photo session ended, Nicole headed straight for the exit. Keith followed her. Nicole, let me drive. No, we're going separately. Keith stopped. This is really happening, isn't it? Nicole turned to him. Yes, Keith, this is really happening. At the exit, paparazzi photographers were waiting. Flashes began to go off. Nicole! Keith, how was tonight? Wonderful, Nicole said with a smile. It was a beautiful evening. Can we talk about your upcoming projects? Everything is very uncertain right now, Keith said. Those words were truly sincere. Nicole got in her car. Keith didn't follow her car. He just stood there, watching his wife drive out of his life. The next morning, the news exploded. Keith Urban's secret affairs. Revealed. Nicole Kidman's heartbroken. 18-year marriage coming to an end. Nicole called her lawyer that morning. Hello, Sarah. Nicole Kidman calling. I want to file for divorce. Keith sat alone at home, thinking about that night over and over again. 47 seconds. Nicole's 47-second speech on stage had changed everything. Because during those 47 seconds, the expression he saw on Nicole's face was the moment he realized their marriage was over. Now he sat alone, looking at his guitar. The last song he played last night was the last song he played for Nicole, and the lyrics of that song now carried different meanings. And if this love is not forever, at least we had this moment together. Love really wasn't forever, but they had lived those moments, and now everything was left behind. Nicole's phone was ringing. Journalists, friends, family, everyone was calling, but she didn't want to talk to anyone. All she wanted was silence. How would she explain this to their children? What would she tell them? Could she say that Daddy was with other women? Keith was experiencing the same questions. How had he brought their 18-year marriage to this state? How had he hurt Nicole this much? That night, neither of them could sleep. Nicole in a hotel, Keith at home. They were both looking at the same sky, but no longer dreaming of the same future. A week later, the divorce papers were prepared. Nicole sent a message to Keith through her lawyer. To avoid disrupting the children's routine, we'll keep media-related conversations to a minimum, but everything between us is over. Keith tried to write a response, but didn't know what to write. I'm sorry seemed too simple. I love you was no longer enough. Finally, he just wrote, I understand. I'll do everything I can for the children. And so one of Hollywood's most powerful couples ended in one night, in a 47-second moment. Nicole Kidman had spoken for 47 seconds on stage that night, and Keith Urban had watched his marriage end during those 47 seconds. The story ends here, but the effects continue. Because there are moments that last only a few seconds but change your life forever. For Nicole and Keith, this night was exactly such a night, and the cameras had recorded everything. That 47-second moment, the expression on Keith's face, the pain in Nicole's eyes. Everything was on record. People would analyze those moments for years, talk about that night. But most importantly, Nicole and Keith would never forget. Because sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes when there's no trust, love loses its meaning too.